genuine and unique lifestyle products? Or are you looking for a place where you can find contemporary and a wide range of unique gifts for children and adults? Laterna is your go-to place for genuine and contemporary books and lifestyle products for wholesale and retail customers. We stock business books on management, leadership, financial success, entrepreneurship, personal development, and so much more. We carry children's fiction, non-fiction, educational books, CDs, and DVDs. We also stock Christian books on various themes such as family life and parenting, church life and growth, spirit-filled living, love, sex, and marriage, to mention but a few. Laterna carries life and style books such as baby and child care, beauty and style, conception and pregnancy, crafts, and hobbies. We also carry adult, children, and teenagers' Bibles, educational toys, framed art, gifts, greeting cards, home and office fragrances, music CDs and DVDs, stationery, teachings, and lots more. Our stores are located at 12B and 13 Okoawo Street, Victoria Island, Lagos. You can also shop online at www.laternabooks.com. Laterna, your lifestyle hub for book lovers. For inquiries, call 0803 301 4462, 0906 0002046 or 7. Chat with us via WhatsApp on 0803 301 4462. You may also reach us on social media via Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at Laterna Books and Laterna Ventures. Are you a book lover or enthusiast? Do you need genuine and unique lifestyle products? Or are you looking for a place where you can find contemporary and a wide range of unique gifts for children and adults? Laterna is your go-to place for genuine and contemporary books and lifestyle products for wholesale and retail customers. We stock business books on management, leadership, financial success, entrepreneurship, personal development, and so much more. We carry children's fiction, non-fiction, educational books, CDs, and DVDs. We also stock Christian books on various themes such as family life and parenting, church life and growth, spirit-filled living, love, sex, and marriage, to mention but a few. Laterna carries life and style books such as baby and child care, beauty and style, conception and pregnancy, crafts, and hobbies. We also carry adult, children, and teenagers' Bibles, educational toys, framed art, gifts, greeting cards, home and office fragrances, music CDs and DVDs, stationery, teachings, and lots more. Our stores are located at 12B and 13 Okoawo Street, Victoria Island, Lagos. You can also shop online at www.laternabooks.com. Laterna, your lifestyle hub for book lovers. For inquiries, call 0803 301 4462, 0906 0002046 or 7. Chat with us via WhatsApp on 0803 301 4462. You may also reach us on social media via Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at Laterna Books and Laterna Ventures.
Laterna is a leading literature and lifestyle product distribution organization in Nigeria with very strong and consistent focus on customer satisfaction. We've grown from a Christian bookstore to a lifestyle company with different products on business, books, Bibles, Christian books, children's books, educational toys, gift items, gift wraps, gift bags, home and office fragrances, music CDs, DVDs, teachings, stationery, and a large range of journals. Laterna was established in 1996. Laterna is an infopreneur. It has remained on the front edge of educating Nigerians through provision of global access to over 100,000 titles of books. And we are also a supplier to various retailers all over the country, at least 33 states in Nigeria, including Abuja. We currently run a children's book club virtually, although it was physical before the pandemic. And part of our initiative is to encourage the culture of reading for children. Laterna Book Club started July last year during the pandemic, and it's an adult book club. It's virtual. We hope by God's grace we'll be able to hold a physical one sometime this year. And our aim is to make an impact on books and contribution to human development. Why books? As we know that books motivate, books gives us direction, books tells us, it makes us to make the right choices, books helps us to have more in-depth knowledge of whatever area we're looking at. Books also help us to take the right decisions. As I was studying, overnight about books, it expands your knowledge. It's a good source of information. It enlightens you. It teaches you something new. It gives you hope, joy, pleasure, depending on the books you read. And some other secrets of books is that it helps you grow to become the best, and you can improve yourself. It sharpens and shapes you, rebrands you, strengthens the foundation of whatever purpose you are meant to be. And there's a saying, if you can't read, you can't lead. To be a leader, you have to be able to read. It transforms life. When I talk about the book club, it's about 2-3 hours a month. In every month, we have 720 hours. So I just want to encourage you that please save this time, second Thursday and the fourth Thursday of every month for the book reading. It takes about an hour or just about an hour and 15 minutes. Before I hand over to our moderator for today, for those who are attending for the first time, we've had 23 sessions in the last 1 year of book reading. And if you need more information on it, just go into Laterna Ventures on YouTube, or you could call anyone on the numbers that will be posted in the chat room, or call me if you need any of the videos in the last 1 year. So without wasting time, I would like to introduce the moderator for today. But just before then, Mrs. Kendewani did the book reading last month, Dr. Kendewani, and she's here again to do a part 2. She has various sides to her: a lawyer, an author, an educationist, and she will say more about herself. But one thing, one of some of the questions that came to me, and I told them that she started small. She started small and has grown. Yes. Because some people were asking questions. Oh, she's big now. How do we start? So I'm sure as we go along, she'll answer those questions. So I'll hand over to the moderator for today, Mr. Kunle Kasumu, who is the presenter of the channel's book club, which holds every Tuesday. He's a lover of books. He has a passion for books, and he has been supportive in the last 1 year. Every reader on this platform, every reviewer has done this free of charge, including Mr. Kasumu. All we are trying to do is impact the next generation, or impact our peers, impact colleagues, and impact, the nation and, as a whole, just impact society. That is why we think that as people read books, we'll be able to build ourselves up. So without much ado, Mr. Kasumu, I hand over to you to introduce the author for today. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Morgan. It hasn't exactly been free. You've been giving me copies of each book every week. So that's fantastic, improving my library. So it's been a pleasure moderating this whenever I've been invited. So, and it's great to be here again today. Dr. Mrs. Nwani does not need more introductions. I think she's been introduced well enough, and her work speaks for her. I mean, her works speak for her. Her brands speak for her very loud and clear. And she was here with us a few weeks back, and we had such a good time, and we've been looking forward to today. But I thought I should add a bit of a curve to today, if Dr. Mrs. Nwani will permit me. Just 2 or 3 things about John Maxwell that you might not know about. I thought might make this presentation by Dr. Nwani even more interesting for us. Well, you might not be aware that he's still very much involved as a teaching pastor, and one of the things that has interested me about John C. Maxwell is that his ability to, find that balance between the church ministry, in quotes, and the secular world. I think he's the one who really opened the eyes of ministers all over the world, how this balance can be struck. He's done pretty well there. Then another thing is, you may not know that he has a doctorate in ministry. I don't know. Doctorate in ministry. I never heard of that before until I checked. So he has a master's. He has masters of divinity and then doctorate of ministry. Very interesting. And then one other thing you probably might not know about him is his mentor. One of his greatest mentors is Robert Schuller, the man who wrote that popular book titled Tough Times Never Last, but Tough People Do. I can't remember anything in that book, but I'll never forget that title. Okay, so I thought that might serve as a good teaser for us as I invite Dr. Mrs. Nwani, who will be reviewing one of John C. Maxwell's book, the one she describes as her favorite of all his books. So you're welcome. You have the platform. Great to have you here.
Thank you so much, Mr. Casimo. Thank you so much for the introduction. Of course, I'm taking it that the 5 minutes you took introducing John Maxwell is out of my time. I'm not going to add it. Good morning, good afternoon, Mrs. Pastor, Mrs. Morgan, and Pastor Morgan, my own personal people. It's good to be here once again. Thank you for inviting me to take the second part of this book review. I remember when we started last time, we realized that the book is so loaded. That's the book, The Leader's Greatest Return. It's so loaded that Pastor Morgan said, we won't be doing justice to the book if we just, stopped where we were the last time. So that's why we're here today. I hope that, everyone here would have maybe heard the recording, or maybe they were there the last time. If you weren't, please get the recording. In fact, better still, get the book. It's an amazing book. So I won't waste time at all. Basically the book is about, he says the leader's greatest return is, well, I'm talking about return, is talking about return on investment, what we call ROI. And what he's saying is that rather than calculating your ROI in terms of money and profit and figures, we should calculate our ROI based on how many leaders we have developed in our companies. And he's saying, once you develop leaders, you will be profitable. So don't focus so much on the profit as much as focusing on developing leaders in your company. That is what this book is about. He then tells us how to develop leaders. And it's so honestly, the way we know John Maxwell, the way he breaks things down is just a gift. It's a gift. It's a special gift he has. He mentioned 10 things that we can do as leaders to develop leaders in our different companies. And I spoke to all of them the last time, but I think I emphasized a bit more on chapters 1, 2, 3, and 4. Those chapters talk about identifying leaders, bringing them to the leadership table, talks about understanding the leaders and motivating the leaders, both intrinsically, teaching, making them understand intrinsic motivation, as well as motivating them extrinsically. But today I'm going to be focusing on chapters 5 to 10. And the interesting thing for me is those things, as important as they are, those initial things I mentioned now, identifying leaders, understanding leaders, motivating leaders, as important as they are, John Maxwell makes us understand that that is just the beginning of the journey of leadership, of developing leaders. So all those things you must do, but where the rubber really meets the road is actually from chapter 5. And honestly, for me, like I said before, I've been a leader in education for close to 20 years. Before then, I was a lawyer and I was leading. I had my own company, I had my own chambers. So, for me to still read this after 30-something years, and I still feel so blessed. I'm learning, every day. That's why any day I recommend this book, and I say, it's one of my favorites. So, equipping leaders is what he talks about in chapter 5. And he said, he said some key things. When we say equipping leaders, what do we mean? To equip a leader is basically to, supply them with all they need to succeed. We supply them with everything they need to succeed. But then it's not just supplying them with what they need to succeed, it is also preparing them mentally. So when you are equipping a leader, you are preparing them mentally, you are supplying every item, everything they need to succeed. Now, he says, and what I found interesting was, he says that when you're equipping, that a lot of people actually take the easy way out. Instead of spending time and effort and resources to equip leaders, we give up easily on people. These potential leaders, we see some potential, but then we're just, we're not patient enough oftentimes to develop them. So he says the best leaders are the leaders that develop and equip other leaders. So I think it's very important to note that, because I'm not talking only to overall leaders or owners of companies. We have leaders, middle leaders, senior leaders. We must understand that we must learn to develop the people that work with us. We don't give up, of course, except it's a bad hire. Maybe you hired something and it's a wrong hire, and you see that it's a waste of time, spending time and equipping this person. It's better to cut your losses. But then, at the end of the day, best leaders actually give leaders, that they want to groom, they give them the opportunity to develop. So also the interesting thing he did was to give us like a formula. Of course, he told us how he's learned over the years. He told us of the formula he used to use in the past, which he found out wasn't as effective. That formula goes this way. He says, I model, then I mentor, then I monitor, then I motivate, and I multiply. If you notice something there, everything is about I, and I. And he said he realized that leaders that use it, and that's what he used to use, even to equip other leaders and to train other leaders. He said he realized that such leaders, when you do this, really you are still carrying the whole load. It's still all about you as the leader. So he came up with another formula, which I intend to use in my company. He says, I do it. So when he wants to train a leader, I do it and you are with me. That is the leader he's trying to, the potential leader. Then you do it. I am with you. I, the overall leader, am with you. Then I leave you to do it. After, and this is the most important part as I go to the next chapter. After that, he says, you do it and someone else is with you. So you would see that in this process, the leader shifts quickly from I to you, to that potential. So it's not about me anymore as an overall leader trying to train you. It's about you taking ownership. And thereafter, you also begin to show other people. And that is the most important thing, is equipping of other leaders. That potential leader that you're equipping must himself or herself be equipping other leaders. That's the great point. And for me, in our group, in our company, we've always said it, but it made it very real to me. So it's not just, in fact, when I got back from my trip, I said to my people, I said, I've actually succeeded to the glory of God, in raising leaders who can hold the fort when I'm not around. I said, what I need to put more effort in is making sure that they themselves are grooming and equipping other leaders. So that's chapter 5. Then the next chapter, chapter 6, talks about empowering leaders. When we equip leaders, you equip them so that you can release them. Equip them, teach them, train them, give them all they need, and then you release them to own that thing you've trained them to do. A lot of us struggle with that. We struggle with it. We train people, we equip them, but we still hold on to the reins of things. But that's not so. You are wasting your investment. So when you invest in them, you have equipped them, let us learn to empower them. That is what John Maxwell says. We must learn to empower. I can give an example. When I got back maybe like a week ago from my trip to the US, we had an education convention a couple of weeks ago. To the glory of God, that convention was perfect. Perfect. And I just commend my leaders, because the only thing I remember being part of in that convention was actually deciding on the topic. They brought several topics and said we should talk about it. And I was able to guide them towards that. Every other thing was done by them. That means I have been able to equip these leaders and to empower them. When you empower someone, you give them the authority and the power to do that which you have equipped them to do. So he says that a lot of leaders do not empower all the potential leaders. Why? He talks about a few things, and I feel it's important to mention them. Sometimes it's lack of time. Sometimes lack of confidence in others. Sometimes we have this I do it best mentality. I think that is a lot of pride. He says sometimes we personally enjoy doing those things. I understand that. I remember when I got a COO, I was almost jealous of him. I said to him that, look, handing over to you, this is what I truly enjoy to do. So when you truly enjoy doing something, sometimes you just want to hold on to it. The interesting one is that sometimes we're reluctant because of past failures and hurt.
I just wanted to be sure it wasn't my own network that messed up. Okay, great. So please try and contact her. Great. While we await her, let me quickly announce that usually for the Q&A session, we have two options. Either we post the questions in the chat room, or we raise up our hands when the Q&A session comes on. So those are the two choices we have. So please be encouraged to write your questions or your comments in the chat room, so that we can collate them. When it's time for the Q&A, I'll read as many as possible out for Dr. and Mrs. Nwani to be able to respond to. They don't have to be just questions, they can also be comments. But if you prefer to raise your hand and to ask.
Hello, so sorry. Technology acted up as usual. I'm using my phone right now.
Okay, so great. Great, no problem. No problem.
All right, thank you.
I was announcing that people can post their questions in the chat room before you return.
All right, thank you so much. And
Great.
that I don't even just because I know they're looking at what's gone wrong. Anyway, so I'm going to continue using my phone. So chapter 7 is another one. Again, all of the chapters are loaded. Chapter 7 talks about positioning of leaders. It talks about the fact that leaders, when you develop yourself, first of all as a leader, you develop other people as leaders. It's important that you begin to develop these people into a team of leaders. You know, it's not enough to work on yourself and people as leaders individually. It's important, in fact, imperative that you develop a leadership team. At this point, we're not talking about potential leaders anymore. We're talking about people who have demonstrated leadership, you know? So he says developing them into a team is very important. He used the analogy of football. And I mentioned it the last time. Football is something that, okay, I think I'm back.
And he talks about the fact that, look at football. They work as a team. And you know, I talk about my all-time favorite coach, Alex Ferguson, of the very best team, very best Premier. He's the very, very best. I know some people are very achy right now, but I have my calls. Pastor Ren, he's a Man U fan. So I've learned a lot from Ferguson. And the way that Ferguson was able to identify some people, some core players, you know, he made them captains and he was able to position them. Remember, we're talking about positioning. He was able to position them, you know, and to help on the pitch, in the dressing room, they were there as leaders. So he not only identified the leadership potential they had, he positioned them, going beyond what all coaches do. You know who the striker is, who the goalkeeper is. He also, you know, using leadership qualities, was able to position people in such a way that they could relieve him of some work and also bring the best out of the team. So that's about positioning of leadership. I hope I'm not running. I'm trying to really manage time this time around. So that's what, you know, when you position leaders, you're able to you put them in their sweet spot and you're able to get the best from these leaders. Then I go to mentoring of leaders. He talks a lot about mentoring. We all know what mentoring is. Mentoring is informal training. So he says that not only do we do all the structured training, it's also important that we mentor. It says that when we mentor, we actually go faster. When you mentor potential leaders, you mentor people, those people, you know, they will be able to reproduce faster and your company will develop faster. I like the way he brought the difference and was able to explain the difference between the coaching and the mentoring. You know, I have it here. He talks a lot about, you know, you can see coaching is more formal. Mentoring is more informal. Coaching is, you know, more directive based or focused. Mentoring is more advisory. You know, coaching is more transactional. Mentoring is more transformational. So he talks about mentoring of leaders. I like the fact that he talked about, you know, he gave Jesus Christ as an example. He says, when you're going to mentor leaders, you as the leader, choose the people you want to mentor. I found that interesting because as a leader, you go places to talk or to train, and people rush to you and say, please come and mentor me, come and mentor me. And he says, really, you should choose the people you want to mentor. He gave the example of Jesus Christ. He said, Jesus Christ chose the 12. So I found that quite interesting that you as the leader, you identify your potential leaders and then choose to mentor them. He also, you know, it's on page 159 in the book. He talks about ways to mention. I don't have time for that today, but there are so many ways you can go about mentoring. The demands you place on the mentee, the demands you place on yourself, the expectations you place on the mentee, the expectations you have on yourself. So he talks about that. I'm rounding up soon. Chapter 9 talks about reproducing leaders. And that's where I'm going to say a little bit of my own story. Honestly, I'm going to start with something it said. He says, one is too small a number to achieve greatness. You know, I'm a teacher. I'm going to ask people, please, what I said now, I don't have it, but just try and put it somewhere. He says, one is too small a number to achieve greatness. We can't do it by ourselves. I think it is the height of being conceited to feel that you can do it all. And that is the story of Meadowhall. When he talks about reproducing leaders, I couldn't but just look at our own story. Pastor Mrs. Morgan has said it. We started very small. Meadowhall started with only 5 members of staff, and I think about 5 teachers. We had some nannies, and maybe about 12 or 24 students in a summer school program. Then we grew. We started to grow. But you see, as we grew, I was so intentional and deliberate about raising other leaders. So before we knew, even most schools would have at that time, then we were just a school. Most schools will have just the head teacher. From the beginning, I started with, having a head, having a deputy, having heads up. I just made sure that at every level I had leaders. Of course, it was a lot more expensive, but then I put those structures in place because I realized that I needed to go beyond myself and my head teacher at that time. So we were able to not just identify those leaders, to train those leaders. And guess what? Because I was able to free myself, I've been able to the glory of God, we've grown from one company, which was our flagship, the school, into a group of companies with 7 subsidiaries. I've talked about today, we have the College of Education. I'm the provost of that College of Education. And there are so many other things that I do that I'm able to do because I was able to reproduce other leaders. Remember, 1 is too small a number to achieve greatness. If I want to achieve all God has put inside of me, then I cannot just be the only one doing everything. And why people don't, why people do that? Because they don't trust. They don't trust other people. They feel, it's my baby. But then you can't. You must learn to be vulnerable. And then be led by God. We are a faith-based school. And that way you can just do the right thing. Go on training, know what to do, take calculated risks. I'm not saying be foolish, but then you must learn to trust other people and reproduce yourself. And the very last chapter talks about compounding leaders. Did not mention the time at all. Compounding leaders. This is where I end. He talks about the Pareto principle. Pareto principle. And this principle is also the same as the 80-20 rule. This I also found very informative because he has brought it into leadership. What he said is, it is important that we understand that 20% of any group is what is responsible for 80% of the success of the group. 20% of Meadowhall is really what is responsible for 80% of our success. 20% of the team is really what is responsible for 80% of our success. He says what we do by unknowingly or unwittingly is we focus on everybody. He said that rule can be used for everything. He says when he has this to-do list, he's able to prioritize and identify out of that 10 points 2 most important things. And once he does those 2 most important things, there's that domino effect, and everything will eventually work out. So let's relate it to leadership. I found this again, very informative because instead of trying to develop every leader, that I have in our group of companies, I focus now on that 20%. The 20% will help the people, their colleagues, the ones that are on the same level with them. They're helping each other. But also remember, we talked about, yes, out of the reproducing leaders, it is something that should be part of your system. Every leader at whatever level should be developing other leaders. So far that is already going on in the company, where every leader is developing other leaders. Then I, as the overall leader, I can focus on 20% of my leadership team and really deposit in them. They will rub off on each other, and also the leadership culture, the leadership development culture in the company will cause the company to continue to thrive. So those are the remaining 5 chapters in the book. The beginning were like starters. It was like the starter of a meal, easy things to do. Identify them, understand them, motivate them. But by the time we get to the last 5 chapters, we're talking about the real deal, the real things to do to ensure that you actually compound your interest, and then you're able to develop leaders and multiply leaders in your company. So I believe I've covered, the most important things in this book. I found it an amazing read. I recommend it to everybody. Over to you, Mr. Cassidy.
Thank you, Dr. Wani. Brilliant. Thank you. I'm going to open the floor for questions. While people are either typing in their questions or getting ready to indicate, let me ask, is this book for leaders at organizational levels, or does it apply? I mean, at times it sounds like it's for people like you. Yes, who have people like you, people like Mrs. Morgan, Pastor Remy Morgan, who run organizations with tens and hundreds of staff. Well, how about the rest of us? How does this apply?
Okay, I feel it's for every leader, not just organizational leaders, those with high, maybe overall leaders, those with companies. No, you know why? Okay, I talked about reproducing leaders. If you're going to reproduce, even if I have a one-man company, if it's not going to die with me, I need to reproduce myself. I need to make sure that I have a succession plan. So I have on the platform right now, I can see some of my leaders. So I have a head of school, and I have a chief operating officer who takes care of the other companies. They need to reproduce leaders. They need to position leaders. I don't work directly with those people, that report to them. So they at their level need to know what to do to cascade these things down. And middle managers need to know what to do. Did you understand? So it is not just, it's for every leader. You need to understand the people you work with, that's for everybody. You need to identify people that you can group, that's for everybody. So it's not just for a certain level of leadership, it's for everybody.
Great. And I also can't resist asking you this, even though at times I don't like sounding political. From an application perspective, when you look at Nigeria, from in the light of this book, this subject, do you see this as a problem nationally, political level, politically, nationally, and all that? Is it a problem? People say Nigeria's problem is leadership. Does this apply? Did you think of Nigeria many times you were reading this book?
All right. It's a good one, yes. I'm going to read something at the beginning so that you can see that it's all about this book. It says, not only do so first of all, it says, why should you develop leaders? Why should you dedicate the time, effort, energy, and resources to help other people rise up and lead? Is it worth it? Can it really make a difference? Does the return warrant all the effort that's required? He said this, he says, absolutely. Everywhere you look, there is a leadership deficit. A leadership deficit exists not just in Nigeria. Unfortunately, it's part of our issues here in Nigeria, but it's all over. I spend a lot of time in the US. What's going on right there? I don't even know what's going on. I don't know what's going on. You know, there's so much just division, and there's a problem with leadership. Where it started, again, is political, because some people, you know, are in Trump's camp, some people are, you know. So, but at the end of the day, look around you. There is a deficit of leadership across the world. It's a global problem.
Great, thank you for that. Thank you for that question. And also, how does this also apply to the family? Many people don't look at leadership from the perspective of the home, you know. But how would you apply this?
Right. Okay, so I have a group of ladies I mentor, and this is something we talk about all the time, especially with the advent of feminism. And you know, most of our daughters look at us and say, "Oh, you know, you, the older women, you know, you've taken." So I say it all the time: when you do things the way the Lord God that instituted marriage, when you do it the way he planned for it to be, you will get the result. So if we decide to change the order of things, then we will get the result. Whatever you do, I always say results don't lie. So I still believe, the feminist, you know, I don't, feminism, any other place apart from marriage, it's fine. You are standing up for your right. I don't have any problem about that. I believe in equality. I believe in people standing up for their right. But when it comes to marriage, I believe that there's an order, and it doesn't make one party inferior to the other. I don't believe so. But then I believe that the Bible has put the man as the leader in the home and the woman as the helpmate of that man. So that is my belief. I feel that, but of course, as we know what a leader is. A leader is a servant. A leader doesn't go lording it over people. So if that is the case, people will work together, marriages will succeed, families will hold. So that's my belief, you know, when I'm bringing it to the home.
Thank you very much. Thank you. So the floor is open for questions. I'm looking at the chat room. Nobody has posted any question yet. Is anybody raising up a hand? Let me do a quick check. Anybody indicating any hands up? Does anybody have a question or a comment? Okay, I can see Olayinka Obafisoye. I hope I pronounced that well. Please.
Yes.
Okay, great. Please unmute and you have the floor.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Dr. Keniwani. You've said a lot of things that, you know, every time we hear this thing.
Sorry to interrupt you. Can I ask you to turn on your video? I would like to see your face. Aha, there you are.
Okay, so yes, I've actually typed in the dialogue box. I just did a clarification. I'm not sure if I heard correctly, but I thought I heard Dr. Wani say that mentoring isn't transformational. It said indeed, and if that is, could she give more, please?
Okay. No, I did not say mentoring is not transformational. I said that what John Maxwell has done is to give us the understanding of the difference between coaching and mentoring. So some of the things he said concerning coaching and then comparing it to mentoring. He says, you know, coaching is more formal. So coaching is done in a formal setting, while mentoring is done in an informal setting. He says coaching is skill-centered, while mentoring is life-centered. Coaching is more structured, while mentoring is less structured. And then I picked some things. Coaching is more positional, while mentoring is more relational. Then he said, coaching is more transactional, while mentoring is more transformational. So I did not say mentoring is not transformational. It says coaching is more of a transactional thing, while mentoring is more about transforming that person that you are mentoring. That's what I said. I hope that.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Absolutely. Thank you, Dr. Wani.
Thank you, Olayinka. Thank you, Doctor. Any other question? No other hand up? Any other hand up? Any other question?
I like Dr. Wani. So just in a few minutes, talk about her phases of growth.
Okay.
From 24 students to 1,300 students.
All right.
What is the secret of that success?
All right. So, it's the secret of the success is, number one, I believe is starting small. Of course, again, we're a faith-based organization. So first of all, our secret is the Lord God Almighty. But then also, I would say that we started small. I wasn't trying to do everything at the same time. Even when we started the school, as I said, we started during the summer school. So we had just 24 students and about 5 teachers and, some nannies and people like that. But then, and even at that time, we started just with infant school all the way to year 3. We did not even go all the way to year 5 or year 6 because we wanted to be able to groom those children to, teach them and be sure that we've done everything we should before getting to the exam classes. Thereafter, and another thing with visions is visions evolve. So even at that time, all I wanted to do, all I felt, I was going to do was to go to school. But as I went on, I began to see other gaps. So I realized that we wanted our children to continue to the secondary school. And also at that time, the Nigerian government Lagos State was saying that we must all go to basic education or something like that. That's how the secondary school came in. And then I began to see other gaps. So that's how we started growing. So from 24, I remember during the summer school, first day of school, we were 60. By the following year, we were 120. But, and when we became 120, we had to then rent another property. We were using rented properties. We had to rent another property on the same street. They wanted to depart. They couldn't wait for us to leave that street because we were a nuisance. When my neighbors could not tolerate us anymore, at the right time, God gave us a permanent site. So it's everything about business, about life is the progression. We don't do, Rome wasn't built in a day. We didn't become 1,300 in a day. Today, to the glory of God, because of our subsidiaries, we have over 400 members of staff. It did not happen in a day. I just told you when we had 5, and then we had 20, and then we had 100. Today, we're over 400. So, I think it's just to understand that it's a gradual thing. But we must continue to lead. Everything rises and falls on leadership. So that leadership, understanding of leadership, I have gone not just for my technical training in education, I went to train as a leader. I went to John Maxwell. So I trained as a leader. So your technical skills must be developed. Your leadership skills must be developed as well. I think these are the things that have helped. Also being in line with God's will for my life. I hope I answered that, Pastor Mrs.
Yes, you did great. You said something about giving up easily on people.
Yes.
Let's get real. It's not like you've not been real, by the way. Let me be clear. Okay. Yeah. Let's get a bit. Yeah, I mean, giving up easily on people. Have you had experiences where you had people you gave up on, but later realized that you give up on them too quickly. And then are there people that you did not give up on, but later on realized you should have given up on them?
Thank you. That's really what I've tried to do to bring my situation into this. So I'd like to be, to continue to be real with you. I would say that, you see, I can't remember anyone I gave up on and I regretted giving up on. You know why? I give people a long rope. I give people a very long rope. Now, in the midst of giving them that long rope, I might get very irritated with them. I might threaten them. But I somehow, I have the grace to see the strength in someone. So I have actually been, and most of people that work with me would, allude to that. So I can be very, so sometimes, and another thing is that positioning is work for me. Sometimes I then see that this person, okay, I had a PA, and it just wasn't working. And I could see that she seemed to like children, and she also mentioned it. And then later on, when I traced the background, I realized that she had actually applied to be a teacher. But someone looked at her and thought she would make Mrs. Wani a very good PA. So what did I do? I put her in the classroom. She's an amazing teacher, amazing. So I position people. So instead of chucking them out, I look for where you're best suited for, and you're able to develop that. The mistake I would have made in the past, which I think is very important, is there were times in the past that I would see that some people don't fit into the company. Maybe their values, or they're just not able to work at the standard and the level that we require. At that time, we were very young at the school, and I hated, like most leaders, to send anybody away, to fire anybody. So I would keep them in the system. I would move them from that place, keep them in the system, but it never worked. They were like a cancer in the system. They were unhappy, bitter, and they would be there causing havoc. So since then, I realized that. So when I see that there's no proper place to position this person's values are different from this, I'm now very comfortable with asking people to leave. That was a mistake, a lesson I learned, because I didn't want to be that bad leader. I'll put them in the company and they will just, I will not have access to the rest of the staff, but they will say, they will tell the people what they did. So I've learned from that, I don't do it anymore. So that's what I.
Okay, great. Fantastic. Somebody is asking here, can I get the book to buy at Laterna? Yes, I can answer on behalf of Laterna. Yes.
Very much so.
Besides, what motivational book would you recommend to give to boys in correctional centers? Do you want to recommend any books for them?
I think Pastor Morgan will be able to do that.
Okay.
They will have more, yes. They will have more, a variety of books to recommend.
Okay, let me see. Position your leaders, looking for answer. I only started reading John Maxwell's book yesterday, and I absolutely agree with John's assertion that there is a leadership deficit worldwide, but Nigeria's situation is not only. Then he stops typing. Sorry, there's no into that. maybe he became became lost for words.
I hope he's not using Twitter to type. Maybe that's why he stopped. I'm not joking. We all know the situation, so there's no point, confronting it. We know the situation.
Yeah. Now John Maxwell ties developing leaders to return on investments.
Yes.
Yeah, that's connection. It can't really be proven empirically, can it?
Okay. So if we're going to research now, maybe we should do a research on that. Maybe we should, but it makes perfect sense. For me, it makes perfect sense because if everything rises and falls on leadership, and I have developed, quality leaders in my company, then the company will do well. So yes, it might not be, we've not enough, maybe it's not something that been, proper research, formal research has been done about, but it makes sense. And for those of us who run companies, and like I said to you, today we are not one company, today we are 7 companies. How would I have achieved that if I was the only leader here? But today, and those other companies, are able to bring something into the group. They're able to bring some income into the group. So I couldn't do it by myself. So I needed to develop leaders, and then I could then pursue my dreams. Excuse me. I did a PhD for 5 years, 5 good years. How would I have achieved that if I was the one in total control of the company? I'm doing the program. I did it in a university abroad. How would I have achieved that? So it makes perfect sense that you need to reproduce other leaders. You need to make sure that you develop, identify them, understand them, motivate them, equip them, empower them, position them, reproduce them, and then you compound the interest.
Great, fantastic. Thank you so much. Before we log off, but Deola Jumoke makes a comment here. I don't know if you agree with him or not. He says the reviewer of the book, you, Dr. Wani, did a good job, but John Maxwell's book is tough to adapt to Nigeria for now. So, do you agree? Do you agree with that comment?
I'm almost certain that person has not really. I'm sure the person just say that. This is another book. 15 Invaluable Laws of Growth. I've taken my leaders through this book. He has worked like a miracle. Don't let me say it's worked like magic. It is awesome. I took all my leaders through this book, through what we call my Launch and Learn meeting. It makes you, this book will tell you about understanding yourself, your personal growth. If you do not know yourself, you cannot lead others. So why would you not be adaptable to any situation in the world? So many books, leadership goals, 21 irrefutable laws, every one of them can be adapted. We are all human beings. Leaders are leaders. So I totally disagree. Totally.
I agree with you. I also disagree with Mr. Olajumoke on this because these are principles that are very applicable. In fact, our failure to apply this to Nigeria, is part of why the country, is struggling actually. Well, we don't have much time, and as you know, when we begin to talk about Nigeria, we never stop. So this is where we have to draw the curtains. Thank you very much. It's been exciting. Thank you, Dr. Nwani. You are a very engaging, interesting, knowledgeable speaker. It's been a pleasure having you. Thank you very much. I want to hand over to my big bro, my boss, the one and only Pastor Remy Morgan.
Wow. Good afternoon, everyone. And thanks for joining this very, very interesting and inspiring session. First of all, I want to say a big thank you to Mr. Kunle Kasumos. Kunle, I've been looking at this your beard. I don't know, is it growing? Is it being filmed? I'm just, but I guess it's becoming a part of you now. I mean, I think it came up during COVID and it hasn't gone. It's good. It sits well on you. Thank you so much.
Thank you
for what you do and what you do so well. We really appreciate you and the burden that you have for reading and that whole space. And then to my dear cousin and my co-Man U fan. Very well done. Very well done. Some of the guys from our Manu platform are here as well. I think I see Dr. Stevie West. so he's here. Thank you. I mean, you've just done so much justice. I want to appreciate you for agreeing to, do this second review, because it was all supposed to have been crammed into one.
Yeah.
But you have done this, and I guess for us even listening, you have just created a greater thirst for the content of what is in here. And obviously this and so many other things, I mean, you have admitted that you went to John Maxwell for his leadership training program, all the things that are clearly working for you. I mean, Nigeria is a tough environment, and to move from 24 students to 1,200 is a great thing. And of course, you're a woman of so many parts. I know my wife, PYM, had mentioned the lawyer, the educationist, the author. Apparently, then the boutique owner. She didn't mention that earlier. She reminded me of that. Yeah. And then, of course, the worship. And then, of course, the powerful worship leader. Yeah. So we just want to thank God, and a beautiful wife to your dear hubby, and mother to your lovely children. So we just really, really want to appreciate you. I mean, clearly you do spend much time, investing in yourself, and I guess that's what's just speaking. So I dare say for anyone who's here, who is a student of leadership or is functioning in leadership at all, will be challenged by some of the things that you have said. But I dare say the challenge for most people is finding the time to self-equip, and maybe it's because you have not delegated, you have not raised enough leaders. That's why we're a little bit too much involved in the things that we're doing. And then we don't have sufficient time for that personal growth and personal development. But I want to think that a lot of takeaways for many of us here, and we hope it'll place us in good stead, going ahead. I want to say a big thank you to all the participants, and I'm absolutely certain you are all blessed. I recognize some of our previous reviewers. Pastor Benga, God bless you. Pastor Nana as well, thank you. And there are so many other people here. We want to say a big thank you to Dr. Bode Olajumoke, former Senator of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. And we thank you for your comments. Like they've said, a lot of the principles, leadership principles, are applicable. And like Dr. Kende said, and a number of other people, they have applied them. And it has worked for them in Nigeria. It's a very interesting terrain, and Doctor must know, part of what he's saying. I'm sure in the environments he has worked in and the things he's been exposed to, it might have looked very, very difficult. But I think it is possible. It is possible. We're a unique nation, a unique people, but it can work. It can work. So thanks to all our participants. So very quickly, I just want to introduce our next book. Our next book and our next author is it's an autobiography. It's an autobiography. My father's daughter, and the reviewer is the author, a very famous lady in Nigeria, Sis Onyeka Owenu. And I'm just going to read a little bit about the book. My father's daughter is a riveting narrative of Onyeka Owenu's enthralling journey through life. We're held captive as she takes us into her world, from the heart-warming affection of her father to living through the anguish of the Nigeria-Biafra war. From a remarkable mother's love to family intrigues, from feminism to a career that has put her in the limelight for decades. Her reflections and reviews are expressive and stroke our senses. Nothing is left out. This book is deeply personal and emotional. It's about strength of purpose in the face of adversity, the struggle to overcome seething obstacles, and the tenacity in surviving the odds. Interesting and vibrant, Onyeka's story is laced with wit, and the underlying humor is infectious. Provocative and audacious, Onyeka Owenu gives gripping details of her trials and triumphs, and everything in between, as she shares diverse experiences from her childhood, the travails of being a performing artist, personal encounters with eminent personalities, and lessons learned that have shaped her life. We're taken through the agony of her dark moments the thrill of her successes, and her unwavering, awe-inspiring trust in God. In descriptive and pulsating detail, she talks about being a wife, a mother, and breadwinner, of being a woman with vision and purpose. She tells us about her relationship with her father, the qualities she inherited from him, and the strength of character of her mother. It is a story about life, love, and living. Onyeka Onwenu passion for her country, Nigeria, goes beyond patriotism. In this book, we read how she challenged and defied the status quo through her work in government, her career as a journalist, and as one of the country's foremost musicians. It was daunting and thought-provoking, yet with a clear message of hope. My Father's Daughter is a compelling story of strength, determination, and integrity. This is Onyeka Onwenu's story, and she tells it well. This is her truth. She is indeed her father's daughter and her mother's legacy. So that's what this book is all about. You know, we're privileged to host Onyeka Onwenu. Sometime last month, there was a book reading for children, and she came, wearing the hat of a grandmother, and we had a physical book reading session, both physical and virtual. And I had the opportunity to just share with her. Of course, we see the public personae. We see her career in journalism. I remember there was some video about Nigeria she had done a couple of decades ago, and that really just brought her to the limelight. And we have just tracked her, her sojourn, the place of ministry, the place of singing, and she's such a heartwarming, such a very candid and down-to-earth individual, of obviously graced and so gifted and so talented, but she shared a number of things about her relationship with her father that I found very, very captivating. There were a number of things that I was going to make mention of, but PYM has warned me not to make mention of those things. So I think we will wait for Sister Onyeka to come and share some of those things. But I found it very, very interesting, the kind of relationship that she had with her father, really, really down to earth. Wherever he went, even as a young girl, he took her along. She was, some young boys have been accused of being their mother's handbag. So once you see the mother, you see the handbag. I don't know what it was. I don't know how we'll describe her, but I think she had that kind of relationship with her father. So it promises really to take us behind the scenes, take us behind that public persona. And I'm absolutely certain that we're going to be really, really blessed. So please, that's the next book reading session. I mean, we've had such a variety. I think the last session we had with Sunday Olise was a very, very interesting one. I found that very, very warming and very, very interesting. So we trust that, we'll be able to continue to bring very, very interesting personalities and very, very interesting material that will just serve to empower us. So we might not necessarily go through the book itself, but we can draw the lessons and hopefully be inspired to sit down and really go through the book. So once again, to my dear cause, thank you so much. I'm just trying to imagine, how you do it. I mean, you mentioned that you had used one of those books for training of your staff. And I dare say that that's the way to go, because there's too much content. So we've had, for 45 minutes on 2 days, and 90 minutes. I think a book like this lends itself to probably, I don't know how many hours of really breaking down, digesting, going into breakout sessions and really trying to digest and internalize, some of the principles that are contained therein. Well, I guess that's the excitement of books. So we must be prepared to pay the price to access the information that is therein. Yeah? So once again, thank you so much, dear cause. Thank you so much, Uncle Kone. Thank you to all our participants. We appreciate you also greatly. Dr. Olajumoke, God bless you, sir. JG West and everybody else that's been a part of the program. I think Pastor Johnson, I saw you all the way from Tanzania. I saw Pastor Dayo from Tanzania as well. And everyone from all over the world. Auntie Rolly from Canada, I think I saw you. Sabikwe, I saw you from the US as well. Happy 50th birthday again. Okay? All right, so thank you so much. Look forward to catching up with you next time. God bless. Okay.